welcome. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Heather Flake, and I'm so excited to give you this webinar. Today, we're going to be talking all about how to navigate your family during the holidays. So before we get started, I just want to remind you all that I'm here on behalf of Life Coach University, such an amazing organization, and our mission is to get life coaching to millions, to as many people as we can for free. So we operate on a pay it forward platform. So obviously these sessions are totally free, but we just ask that after you participate that you pay it forward in whatever way that you see fit in this glorious world that we live in. So be thinking of ways that you want to do that, especially during Thanksgiving. It's just a fun and unique time to think about all of the amazing things that we have and how we can give to those around us, right? All right, so the question is, what are you bringing to the table this year, my friends? And here's the thing, if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, totally fine. This applies to any gathering, period, any gathering. If there is going to be someone besides you at an event, this is honestly all going to apply to you. So keep that open. If it's not family that you're going to be seeing, if it's friends or it's coworkers or it's just a spouse or your children, whatever, this information will all apply. I'm going to be speaking, like I'm going to reference Thanksgiving just because it's a fun metaphor. I like that idea of like, what are you bringing to the table? But know that it applies to anything. Okay, so, and I also just in that realm, since I am talking a little bit about Thanksgiving, I think it's kind of hilarious. Like we get together on Thanksgiving to be grateful and to voice what we're thankful for, right? And then we have so much drama about people, right? About our in-laws and that sister and Uncle Joey, who is crazy. Isn't it so funny? So I just want you to remember that, like, this is Thanksgiving, y'all. So what is it that you're going to bring to the table? All right. So the first thing that I want to share is this. You guys, just expect people to be exactly who they are. So often we just set ourselves up to fail ahead of time because we're like, hey, you know what? Maybe this year my sister-in-law will just be really friendly and she'll compliment me and she'll think that my hair is cute and that I look nice in my jeans. Or you know what? Maybe this year Uncle Joey's not going to go on that rant he always does about politics. Or you know what? Maybe this year Aunt Susie is finally going to agree that my religion is the best one. And on and on and on, right? We have this like vain hope in the back of our mind that the people in our family or whoever it is that we're going to be gathering with are going to be different than they are. And I just think that's setting yourself up for an instant fail. No, just expect people to be exactly who they are. And especially if it's people that you're used to being around, you probably have a pretty good idea of how they're going to show up. And I just want to offer, what if you just loved them? What if you were just like, you know what? Get in here, Aunt Susie. I love you. We totally don't have to agree on anything. I just love you because you're a human. So glad you're in this family. So glad we're gathering together. Okay, so that's the first step. And a little caveat here, you guys, I also find I do this too. Okay, wow, I'm really good at this. We spend all of our time focusing on other people and focusing on things that we literally have zero control over. And then we're so disappointed and so drained and so sad when we weren't able to successfully control those things. So it's like, I have a great idea. Let's just focus on the one thing we have absolute control over, and that's YOU. Right? Like I have complete control over how I'm going to show up, over what I'm going to say, over what I'm going to think, how I'm going to feel. And that is amazing news. You guys, like, isn't that so exciting? I get so jazzed every time I think about that. I'm like, oh yeah, no matter what anyone else brings to the table, no matter what anyone else says or how they act or how they dress, I'm in complete control of myself and I get to control my experience. And that is an amazing gift. And that's so beautiful. And I'm going to give you some tips today to help you see that that's a reality, because I totally understand that sometimes a lot of the times we feel like we're at the effect of our circumstances, or we are at the effect of other people and their choices. So I'm going to walk you through some ways in which you can do that. Okay. I'm also so glad. Sorry, I'm popping into the Q&A box because there's a question. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And for you guys too, just know that you can put questions in the Q&A at any point and I will totally get your questions. I'm going to go ahead and answer this question. I don't know if it's a question. Let's see. It says, my mother-in-law talks a lot and tells the same story every year. I find it so hard to expect and accept her. She tells her stories so slowly. Okay, I love it. All right, friend. So that's what I want. That's what I'm telling you. So you already know. And that's such good news. You know that on Thursday, you're going to show up to Thanksgiving, and what's your mother-in-law going to do? She's going to tell you the story that you have memorized, and she's going to say it really slowly. And I would ask myself, how is that perfect? How is that perfect for me? Or I would ask myself, so how do I want to show up around mother-in-law in this story? Who do I want to be? How do I want to feel? Because right now you're saying that you find it really hard. You're probably annoyed, right? So, okay, how do you want to feel instead? And just know that mother-in-law is going to be there sharing that story, and she's going to say it slowly. Also, want you to know, friend, that those are just thoughts. Your thought of my mother-in-law talks a lot. Thought, she tells the same story every year. Thought, I find she tells her story so slowly. Thought, right? And you can totally keep them. You can totally keep these thoughts. Let me turn my phone up. But if those aren't creating feelings for you that are useful, you might want to think about them. So, friend, here we go. Let me tell you some things. And if you want to come on and get coached later, you can. So step number 2 is you intentionally decide who you want to be, especially like with this example with mother-in-law in the story that is so slow and so long and so the same. Who do you want to be? Right? All you have is options. So, and here's the thing, clean up your brain before you go to the gathering. Okay. You don't want to do it while you're there or after the fact. No, before. So what that looks like is doing like a thought download or a brain dump. Okay. So if you have time after this webinar, that's what I would do, right? I would sit down and with my pen and paper, I would get out all of my thoughts, all of my judgments, all of the things about Thanksgiving 2021. And I would just judge my mother-in-law on that paper. I'd write down all the thoughts. It bugs me that she tells this dang story every year. And like, I'm sorry, why are we speaking so slowly? Like, just allow all of those thoughts some airtime instead of trying to maybe avoid them or resist them or hoping that it's different this year. Just like get it out. It's just like cleaning your garage. You guys, like, let's say you have shelves and like the garage is just full of stuff that you can't even park your car in there. In order to clean out the garage, what are you going to have to do? Take all the stuff out, right? You got to take the stuff out and then you decide, oh, I don't want this back in the garage. This goes in the trash. This can stay. That's what you're doing with your brain. Just clean out your brain. Get all your thoughts, all your drama, all your judgments out of your head. Those are your thoughts. And then you get to decide what you're going to put back in. Like, you know what? This year, I'm just not going to choose to think that my mother-in-law speaks really slowly. I'm just going to choose to think, you know what? How hilarious it is that my mother-in-law always tells this story. I love it. I cannot wait to hear the story. I'm going to be the first one to sit by her, so I get a front row seat to the story. Okay, I'm going to pop in the Q&A. Okay. In the past, she tells her story and I'm thinking, where the heck is my husband? Your husband's the smart one. He's like, dude, I do not want to hear this story. I'm out. So, and that's what's funny too. Like, let's talk about how you have options, friend. Okay. So just that's what this this is about. You just intentionally decide. If you're like, you know what, it does not serve me to hear this story, go somewhere else, right? Go to the bathroom, go chat it up with somebody else. Like, you don't have to sit and hear the story. All you have is options. But yeah, so I just think, don't make yourself the victim. You get to make Thanksgiving 2021 whatever you want it to be, but you do need to decide ahead of time what it's going to be. Okay, on this next page, I'm going to give you guys some examples of thoughts that you could think instead, but I also want to offer that it's really important that you clean up your brain beforehand. Because if you're just trying to like think positive thoughts and you've never sifted through all the garbage in your head, your brain is going to reject that and it's not going to believe it. But if you can get your thoughts out and look at them and be curious and be compassionate with yourself, then you might be able to ask yourself, okay, you know what do I want to think instead? And here are some thoughts that you could try on. These are some of my personal favorites. Why is this so far away from me? Okay, shift that a little bit. There we go. Okay, there is room for all of it here. This is one of my favorite thoughts in the whole world, right? So there's totally room for mother-in-law and that long, slow story. Get in here. It's also totally fine if I'm annoyed at the story. So what? You can feel annoyed. It's no big deal. I'm in control of my experience. I bring the fun. Here's what's amazing about your thoughts, you guys. If you intentionally decide to like think this, I bring the fun. Do you know what you're going to do? Like for me, for example, when I think I bring the fun, it makes me excited. And then I take action that allows me to show up as the fun person. Whether or not people think I'm fun is like, I don't know, I can't control that. But if I'm thinking I bring the fun, then I plan intentional things. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to play this game. I'm going to bring this conversation to the table. I'm going to show this hilarious YouTube video. And even if no one plays or no one participates, I'm still going to have an amazing time because I'm so prepared with fun. Isn't that cool? Another really amazing thought, especially if you're having a hard time, like maybe right now it really annoys you, like you were saying, can you be fascinated? I love to tell myself and watch people and think, oh, this is fascinating. I am so fascinated that she tells this story every year. So fascinated. It's fascinating to me that she can speak that slowly. Like, do you see that? And just fascination is going to feel so much better than resentment or annoyance, and you're going to show up different. So try that on. It's a really fun thought. I'm all in for everyone feeling exactly how they want to feel. A lot of the times I feel like, especially as women, we want everyone to feel happy and just awesome and wonderful. Sometimes people don't feel happy and awesome and wonderful, and it's okay. There's room for all of it. Okay, what if we just allow people to feel how they feel? And then I love this thought. I love how different and the same all of us are. I find that so often. Like sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, we could not be more opposite. And then I'm like, LOL, we're literally the same, right? So that's also a fun thought to just help you recognize how common your ground can be. I love that. If I bring the fun, I'm going to bring my whole life story and sit my mother-in-law down and tell her my life really slowly. Okay, like that's totally an option. I would just be on to yourself. Are you in a clean space? Or are you doing this from a place of like, oh, I want to get back at you because you drive me insane? Which, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. I just want you to be clear about your reasons, right? But yeah, totally something that's available to you. Okay, so let's take a walk through this process, friends. You can set yourself up to succeed. Okay, so before the event, you want to sit with yourself. And what you can do is I just use like a Google Doc because my hand gets like writer's cramp and I can't keep up with my racing brain. So I just type because I can type faster. You can also do this while you're driving. You could do like a recording app, or you can also, I tell my clients, you can always just hit like record and you don't have to film yourself, but it would just capture what you're thinking. Some people have a hard time writing and they're better at speaking. So whatever it is, but I would sit and be very intentional and be like, okay, what's going to be challenging this year for me at Thanksgiving? Or mother-in-law, go. Sister-in-law, go. Dad, go. Right? Like if there's a person that you feel like is really difficult or you just don't jive with them, just write their name on the top of the paper, because I guarantee you probably already feel like some angst, and then like let yourself go there. Let those thoughts come. And then what's really amazing, well, there's something really important you need to do. After you get your thoughts out, you got to do the 2 C's. Do you know what they are? Curiosity and compassion. You want to look at your thoughts with curiosity. You want to be like, wow, I wonder why I feel this way about her. Or you know what? And you also want to just be really compassionate. Don't make your thoughts mean that you're this horrible person or that you should be different. No, they're just thoughts. It's not who you are. They're just your thoughts. It's not a big deal. But once you have it all out, right? It's just like the garage. Once you've moved everything out of the garage, you just get this moment where you decide, okay, what am I keeping? What am I getting rid of? What do I want this garage to look like? That's this part. You make an intentional plan. Like, okay, mother-in-law is going to be there with her story. How do I want to feel? And sometimes you can go backwards, right? And you just know this, like you've been to a lot of Thanksgivings before. How do you usually end up feeling? And how do you want to end up feeling this year on purpose? And you're just like, oh yeah, like I'm just going to be in control of my experience. Because you are, you guys, the people, the food, that doesn't control your experience. Your thoughts do. And that your thoughts create how you feel. And then however you feel dictates what you do and the result you create. So it matters so much. So make a plan, set yourself up for success. Okay. Number 3, take care of you. So I think it's really important to know that just because you've got your thoughts out and you've made this plan, you need to be intentional also about taking care of yourself. So I want you to hear me that I don't think that this is just my personal opinion. I don't think it's appropriate for people to say mean things to me. Like I just have this boundary. Like I'm not going to tolerate someone like treating me bad. Right? I'm not going to just like try to think nice thoughts about someone treating me bad. Does that make sense? If someone's treating me bad or someone's, engaging in a behavior that I just don't want to be a part of, like I'm just going to take care of myself and I'm going to go ahead and leave, or I'm going to whatever, right? But I just take this, I own this 100%. It's not anybody's job at Thanksgiving to take care of me except for me. I've totally got my own back. I'm going to take care of me. So whatever that looks like for you, you just need to recognize that's your job, not your husband's, not your mom's, not your sister's. You need to take care of you at Thanksgiving and all the time in your life. That's your job. Okay, step 4, you guys, did you know that you can just allow your feelings? Did you know it's totally fine if you feel disappointed? It's fine if you feel bored. It's fine if you feel frustrated. And did you know that you can feel bored and not have 3 more slices of pumpkin pie? You can just sit there and feel bored. You can say, I wonder what it's like to be a woman feeling bored at Thanksgiving. And then try it. Just do it. Just do bored. If you're annoyed, just be annoyed. But again, that's if you want to. If you don't want to be annoyed and you are annoyed, you need to tap into your head. Okay, what is it that I'm thinking that's making me annoyed? And how can I take care of me? And then something that's also really important that we're really good at not doing, evaluate. Like, just think of Thanksgiving 2021 as an experiment. You're just trying something new. Years past, you've just always done the same thing. 2021, you are bringing it. You are trying something new. And it's just an experiment. You have an hypothesis of what you think might happen. And you have variables. You're just testing out different things. So at the end, you guys, you evaluate. And I love this evaluation. It's really simple. You say, what went well? What didn't go well? What will I do differently next time? Super simple. What worked? What didn't work? What do I do different next time? Okay. Because all of this just gives you a license and the ability to just own this and to choose very intentionally who you're going to be, how you're going to show up, what kind of experience you're going to have. Okay. Tell me your questions. Tell me what you're thinking as we talk about this, you guys. Okay. Usually the holidays end with me in the car for a 5-hour drive back home. All I can think about is all her stories, and it seems like I can't turn the stories off. This year, I'm going to try everything that you say. The thing is, I actually really love my mother-in-law, so then I feel bad that I don't want to hear her stories again. Friend, would you be willing to come on and get coached about this? I think it could be really awesome if you want to coach through on this. If you do, go ahead and you can click the little button on the bottom of the screen that says raise hand. If not, we can just talk through it. Because I think there's totally two elements here, right? It's like all I can think about is her stories, and then there's this other side of you that's like, oh, but I feel bad because I really do love this woman. Oh, let's see. Oh, no worries, can't come on at the moment. Okay, so yeah, so here's what I would tell you too. The holidays end with me in a car, a 5-hour drive back home, and all I can think about is all her stories. And it seems like I can't turn the stories off. So that's a thought. That's just something you're making up. Okay. So again, I would plan on this because it's sounding like you've had this experience before, right? So I just be like, okay, usually when I get back in the car, all I think about are mother-in-law's stories. So if you don't want to think about them this time, I would just decide, okay, what is it that I'm going to think about instead? And here's the thing. Let's say you're driving and those stories keep coming. I think something that's really powerful you can do is physically like say or do something and be like, okay, love you, mother-in-law, but right now I'm going to choose to think about this, whatever this is, right? Or like you just get to decide, or you can also turn it to, you know, what is it that I love so much about my mother-in-law? How is it perfect that she shared all of those stories? Right. So again, like right now you just present it like you don't have any control over your mind thinking about all those stories as you drive for 5 hours. But in fact, you do. You totally do. You always get to decide what you're thinking. So you just need to be conscious enough to recognize like, oh yeah, I do get to decide. So when those thoughts come, if that's not what you want to think about, you can just be like, listen, we love those stories. We love mother-in-law, but right now we're going to think about this. Okay. And it's like you also can just hook yourself up. Like if maybe there's podcasts you like to listen to or an audio book that you want to listen to, or maybe if other people are in the car and you want to converse with them about something. And it can go back to the idea of like, I bring the fun. I would ask myself, how am I going to make my 5-hour drive back home so fun? Right? Maybe I'm going to, pump really loud music and practice my karaoke or whatever. But that all goes back to being intentional, right? Like you're setting this up ahead of time, and that's totally in your power. Okay, so then the second element is when you say like, I actually really love my mother-in-law, so then I feel bad that I don't want to hear her stories again. All of that is optional too. And I would just ask you, well, why? Why do you feel bad that you don't want to hear her stories again? Doesn't it make sense that you don't want to hear her stories again? Like I would just ask you why, and then answer why. And then again, it's just like totally optional. The only reason you're feeling bad is because of some thought. And I would assume, and I could be completely wrong, but maybe the thought is like, I should love all of her stories because she's my mother-in-law. She's a person that I love. So shouldn't I love all of her stories? No. Did you know that you can love your mother-in-law so much and not really be thrilled about her stories? And it's totally fine. So just know that too. I would ask myself, what's the thought that's making me feel bad? about not wanting terror stories again. Work through that. Okay. Okay, amazing. I absolutely love the holidays. However, my partner always says it's boring. I ask what he would like to do, but he never comes up with anything. So I feel I can't enjoy the day with him in my ear all day about his boredom. Ah, I love this. Guess what? It's totally fine if your husband is bored. And that doesn't mean you have to be bored. And it also, like this thought, this is a thought. I can't enjoy the day with him in my ear all day about his boredom. So I would just ask you, so really, is he whispering in your ear the entire event about how he's bored? And if he is, what options do you have? And sometimes when we're in it, we're like, he's my husband. I don't have any options. Like, you're supposed to just like love him and spend all the time together, right? But it's like, no, you could just like, listen, I'm obsessed with you. I love you so much. I do not love hearing about how you're so bored. Here's a pack of cards. Why don't you go play some solitaire? Right? Or, and I mean, he might not be about that, but his boredom, why is his boredom a problem for you? That's what you want to answer. Why does husband being bored at Thanksgiving, why does that create a problem for me? Okay. Yeah, I feel like I can't enjoy the day. And see, so do you hear that? You're like, oh, wish I could enjoy Thanksgiving, but I can't because of my dang husband that's feeling bored. What does that have to do with you? Right? Especially if you're bringing the fun, right? If you're bringing the fun, you're not going to be bored. And if husband's bored, that stinks for husband, but maybe he wants to be bored, right? Okay, that would really help listing all the reasons I love her. Yeah, right? It's like, just get really clear on that. And maybe too, you just decide, so I'm willing to hear all of these stories because I love her. But there's also freedom, like in this element of taking care of yourself. If you're just like, oh, I need a break from all these stories, I'm going to go outside and walk a lap. That's totally fine too. Oh my gosh, I love this. I love you, person. Okay, well, you say, I shouldn't assume you're a woman. I feel bad to hear her stories again because she is so excited when she tells her stories. In my head, I'm thinking I have to pretend to enjoy her stories so I don't look like a rude daughter-in-law. Okay, I want to show you something. And you're typing, so stay here with me. And I think this is really helpful. Oh my. Okay, friend, I don't know if you are familiar with the model, but the model is just a way of organizing like our thoughts and our feelings and our actions and our results. So let me scoot this guy over. Can you do that? Yes. All right. So the circumstance is the fact. What's the fact of this story? And we're just going to put mother-in-law telling me a story. Right. Okay. And then you have this thought. I have to pretend, where'd it go? I have to pretend to enjoy her stories. Whoa. Okay, friend, tell me, come on and tell me, just type it in the Q&A. How does that thought feel? When you think I have to pretend to enjoy her stories, how does that make you feel? Like, and then it's this other part, so I don't look like a rude daughter-in-law, we'll talk about in a minute, but tell me how it makes you feel when you think that. Fake, interesting. Okay, so now tell me, when you feel fake, what do you do? So mother-in-law is telling you the story. Tell me what you are doing. You feel tight in your chest. Okay, we fake smile. Keep telling me. So you fake smile, so it's not genuine. Do you listen? Tell me too, like, what don't you do? When you're feeling fake while mother-in-law is telling your story, what don't you do? You can also tell me like what's happening mentally. So maybe physically you're not doing it, but what's happening in your head. I nod my head. You're like, uh-huh. Okay. You're like, where the freak is my husband? Okay, you scan the room for your hubby. Okay. What else? Tell me what don't you do? So I mean, and I'm already kind of assuming you're not really listening. You have the story memorized, right? Let's see here. Wish my I love you so much. Let's be best friends. Sometimes I wish my son will fall down and cry so I have a reason to leave, right? Aren't kids the best? P.S. I love kids. I'm like, hey, cry so we can get out of this situation. It's so awesome. Hope son will fall and cry so you can leave. Okay, so here's something funny that I want you to see. Okay, so listen to me. The circumstance is your mother-in-law saying words at Thanksgiving that you've said it's a story, right? That's a fact. I want you to know that it's not good, it's not bad, it's totally neutral. Mother-in-law is probably sitting and words are spilling out of her mouth. That's a circumstance, okay? And then you think, I have to pretend to enjoy her stories. And that makes you feel fake. Okay? Not genuine, not authentic, just fake. Okay? So then what's so fascinating is when you feel fake, you're just like you fake smile. So that's not real. You're just like, you nod your head. You're scanning the room for your husband. You're hoping that your son will fall down and cry so that you can get the heck out of this conversation. Right? So I'm going to see if you put anything else in here. Yeah, you definitely aren't enjoying the moment. Yeah, not enjoying the moment. And I mean, that's the thing. So when you do these things, you fake smile, you nod your head, you're looking for your husband, hoping kid will fall down, is you aren't present. So we're going to say I'm not present. I don't enjoy Thanksgiving. Or your mother-in-law. Right? And here's the question. Who does that suck for? You. Mother-in-law probably doesn't even notice that you're not that engaged. Right? Mother-in-law is getting a great end. She's just like, these stories, finally I have an audience to share these stories with. But you sitting there doing this, and then you have all these negative thoughts, and then you're piling on top of that. Then you're piling on some guilt because you think good daughter-in-laws should enjoy listening to their mother-in-law's stories. Right? What if you're wrong about that? What if good daughter-in-laws don't really enjoy their mother-in-law's stories all the time? Can you still be a good daughter-in-law? Could that mean that you're not even rude? You get to decide. Okay, so just recognize that what's making you feel fake is not your mother-in-law's stories. Okay, what's making you feel fake is this thought. I have to pretend to enjoy her stories. And that's probably, I would just kind of assume that's probably kind of exhausting, right? All of this, that's not real, it's not genuine. And then that result that all of this creates is that you're not present, and then you don't enjoy the event, you don't enjoy your mother-in-law, you don't enjoy you because you're feeling guilty that you're not liking the stories. Do you see this? So this thought, friend, this is what I'm telling you. This is the work you want to do before Thanksgiving. You want to get all of this out, and your beliefs, like you just have this belief that good daughter-in-laws listen and engage and love the stories. but maybe you're totally wrong about that. And how is that the best news ever? Okay. So the circumstance is still going to be the exact same, but what do you want to think instead? And maybe even it was like, I don't have to pretend to enjoy these stories. Like, how would that make you feel? How would that make you show up? What result would that get? Like, you can just play with this all day long. It's kind of like an equation. All right, let's see what's happening in the Q&A. Sometimes I'm raging in my head, why me? Yeah, right? Like, you're feeling bad for yourself. You're kind of feeling like the victim. And then I start to think how my husband is probably laughing a storm with his brother somewhere in the house that I got caught listening to her stories. Yeah, so there again, you're kind of taking on this victim mentality. Like, I have to be here, sitting here, listening to this woman tell these stories. My husband's probably having the best time. I thought your husband was bored. I thought he was in your ears saying he was bored. Okay, so I just want you to recognize, and it's all of this. This is amazing. You want to get all of this out before Thanksgiving. And I want you to know that you don't have to sit and listen to your mother-in-law's stories if you don't want to. If you do want to, you need to own that, right? So instead of saying like, I just got caught here listening to her stories, it's like, oh no, I chose to sit here. I chose to listen. And then you can choose if you want to be engaged. And I would ask myself that too, like, how might my experience of my mother-in-law be different if I chose to really listen to her? If I thought there's no other place I'd rather be than right here listening to these stories. How would that change everything? Oh, that was okay, sorry. So I have people mixed up. That was not my husband. My husband's not the one bored. I hear him laughing with his brothers. Okay, sorry. So we have two different husbands here. Yeah. Okay, friends. So that's exactly what I would tell you. Okay, I'm gonna go back up because I think I missed something. Okay, so bored husband is different. Okay, so let me see, because you're both anonymous. Okay, yeah, so this is I'm addressing the person that was talking about their husband being bored. Thank you. I want him to want to enjoy the holidays because me and the kids do, but I understand we can all still enjoy the day and I cannot allow his boredom to get to me. More wine. Okay, so that's so fascinating. I would ask myself, why? Why do you want him to enjoy the holiday? Right? Remember this part where we just let the people in our life feel whatever it is that they want to feel, and it's fine, and it doesn't have to affect you. Because then think about the kind of holiday that's going to create for you. If husband wants to be bored, then I ask, how can you just love your bored husband? Right? And I would ask myself, why? Why do I want him to want to enjoy the holiday? And honestly, almost 100% of the time, you guys, it's because how you think it will make you feel. We all are just wanting to feel a certain way. And you're thinking that if your husband actually want to enjoy the holiday, then you would get to feel better somehow. But guess what? You get to decide how you want to feel 100% of the time based on what you choose to think. Okay. And here's the thing. You say, I understand we can all still enjoy the day and I cannot allow his boredom to get to me. You really though, like that's a choice. And here's the thing, friend, I would do the same thing. Before this starts, judge husband and get out all your thoughts about how it really bugs you that he's just bored. Like get all of that out and then decide like, okay, here's all the things that were in my garage. Now what? How do I want this holiday to be for me? Because that's the thing, even though you love your kids and your husband so much, you don't get to decide what kind of experience they get ever, even during the holidays. So I would just be like, okay, how do I want to experience the holidays this year? How is it that I want to feel? How do I want to show up? Because we can't control anyone else. And then just be on to yourself. You just want to drink more wine. You're using wine as a buffer. You're thinking, if I drink more wine, then it will make me feel a little better. And then I won't feel as bad that my husband's bored. But ultimately, that's probably not going to give you the result that you really want. So what if you were just all in for feeling the feelings, but also decide, how do you want to feel? Does that make sense? Okay. That's so true. It's about the warm, fuzzy holiday feeling I'm looking for from him. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Kate, this is bored husband lady says, that's so true. It's about that warm, fuzzy holiday feeling I'm looking for from him, but I can create that for myself. Yes. And watch how fun this is. Yeah, I love you. Your husband does not create warm, fuzzy holiday for you. And you're already onto yourself. You do, right? So if you want to feel warm, fuzzy holiday, you got to ask yourself, okay, what am I going to need to think in order to feel warm, fuzzy holiday? What creates warm, fuzzy holiday for me? And in the circumstance line, I would put like what husband is doing. We can't say husband is bored because I know that you think that's a fact, but we can't really prove that. So maybe it's husband is on phone, or husband is watching TV, or husband is asleep in the recliner when we're opening presents. Like put actions, or you could put husband said to me, I am bored. We'll just do that because you did say he was in your ear, right? So hubby says, I'm so bored. That is a circumstance because it happened. It's factual. But then you get to decide, okay, husband's bored, but guess what? I want to feel warm and fuzzy. What do I need to think in order to feel it? And you guys, with this work, you have to just test it out. Thoughts are like clothes, right? Like sometimes you're shopping and you see a really cute outfit and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to have that. And you try it on and you're like, oh, this, like, it's not very flattering on me. This doesn't look like I thought it would look. No, thank you. Thoughts are the exact same. You just have to try them on. So you want to brainstorm some thoughts and then try them. When you think the thought, does it make you feel that warm, fuzzy holiday feeling that you're looking for? If not, no problem. Let's try something else. And then just think that when you're feeling the warm and fuzzy, what is it that you're going to do? What aren't you going to do? And ultimately, what's the result that you are going to create? And recognize too that no one else can show up in your result line, only you, because we don't get to control husband or kids or mother-in-law, only us, only you get to show up here. Okay. But yeah, and isn't that empowering? We don't need husband to create it for us. We'll just, because we can do it for ourselves. I just think that's such a beautiful gift. What a blessing. Yeah, he's doing all those things. Phone, TV, not engaging. I know. I talk to a lot of people who think their spouses are not engaged. Yeah, okay. Warm and fuzzy for me is kids happy, eating, laughing, just all of us together. Okay, friend. Yes. So that's what I would tell you is you've got to do some work on this. Can you be okay if the kids aren't happy? Can you be okay if everyone's not eating and laughing together? How can you still get this if in the circumstance line, husband is on his phone? Right? That's the question. And can I tell you something? Your brain's gonna be like, I don't know. I literally have no idea. Impossible. We never say, I don't know. I don't know. Completely shut your brain down. You know, when you're on a treadmill and you're running and there's that little like red chip thing, and if it comes out, like the treadmill automatically stops. Yeah, that's what I don't know is, you guys. I don't know blocks you from your own wisdom. It makes your brain loves, I don't know, PS, because then it gets to stop and it doesn't have to scan for any answers or find solutions. So you don't let I don't know be an option. I asked myself, how can I create warm and fuzzy holiday with husband being on his phone, with kids fighting? How can I create warm, fuzzy holiday for me? And your brain's like, oh, I don't know, sounds impossible. You're like, no, let's just guess. Let's pretend that we do it. Let's just ask the version of us that totally created it. What would she do? What would she tell me? Ask your future self. Or this is always what I tell my clients. I'm like, no, just guess. You might be totally wrong, but it's fine. Just guess what you got. Your brain will come up with something if you allow it to. OMG, this is hard. That's a thought. That's just a thought. It doesn't have to be hard. Think about it. If you put, this is hard in the thought line, how does it make you feel? Discouraged, whatever. And then think about what you're going to do. Think about the result. This is hard is just a thought. What's hard is trying to control everyone and then feeling so crappy because your holiday wasn't warm and fuzzy like you wanted it to be. That's hard. In my opinion, that's my thought. Okay. She says, I cook the food I enjoy and I read my favorite book. Yeah, like I just want you to be really intentional about this, right? So maybe the thought is like, I'm going to show up for me and love my family no matter what. Or I'm going to read my very favorite book and cook the turkey or whatever you're cooking. Right? So just like test it out, try it on. But if you leave with anything today, just really do want you to recognize that your feeling, your experience, that's in your control. And you think that if husband was really engaged and kids just got along and everyone was laughing around the table, you think that you'd be able to feel warm and fuzzy. Guess what? Your brain would still find things to poop on your party with. So why don't you just take all your power back and just decide, oh yeah, I'm going to feel warm and fuzzy and this is how. And then I also want you to give yourself some grace. It is totally fine. Like if husband is on the phone instead of eating dinner and laughing, you might want to think, oh, I wish my husband was more engaged. And maybe you feel sad. And I just want you to know that that's totally fine. If you want to feel sad, you absolutely can. But there again, decide. If you don't want to feel sad, if you want to feel something different, great. I'm all for that, right? But like emotions are not a problem, you guys. We think that we just need to drink more wine and eat more food so that we don't have to feel bad emotion. But bad emotion is just part of the game. It's just all part of being a human. And what if you're just all in for being a human, especially during the holidays? What does it feel like to be a wife and a mom with a family during the holidays? And are you willing to feel it? And then when you're tired of feeling sad, you can always do something different if you want. The ball is in your court. Amazing. You guys have brought so many amazing things to the table. And I just want to say, like, I can totally relate to this. I'm not living in unicorn daisy land. No one is. I can totally relate, but this work works. Your brain is so powerful. What you think matters so much. And I promise you, even just a little bit of intentionality will allow you to see like some serious progress and will allow you to like start to be aware of things that maybe you didn't recognize before. Oh, wow. I love you. You guys are the best. Okay, this person just did a model. Okay. This is mother-in-law friends. Okay. Circumstance. Mother-in-law tells a story. My thought, I can say that I've heard this story. Yes. How do I feel? Real, right? Like honesty. You feel honest because you're being honest. Action. Tell her the end of her own story. I love this. Tell her the end of her own story. Smile, and it's a real smile. Ask, you got any new stories? The result, I get to hear new stories. Maybe, right? I would just argue because maybe mother-in-law tells new stories, maybe she doesn't. Like, we can't decide. So your model is so beautiful. The result, I would just be a little cautious. I would just say, like, I get to show up honest. I get to enjoy my mother-in-law. I get to enjoy me, right? I love it. It's amazing. And do you guys see that? Do you see how different the energy is, the result? Like, you flipped this on its head and it's amazing. And you did that while we were together. That's amazing. It's huge. Okay. I love this. Thank you. You have really helped me reframe this. Good. This holiday is going to be different. Yes, it is, because you're deciding that right now. Mama is going to be all about her while still loving my family. Yes. Okay. I'm so glad you brought this up too, because a lot of the times I have clients that tell me, and I work with mostly a lot of women that are very religious. And so they have this belief that if they're focusing on their self, that's very selfish and it's bad. But I love how you framed this, friend, saying, Mama is going to be all about her while still loving my family. And I want to argue that when you are about yourself, when you're taking care of you, you have even more of you to give to your family, and you want to give more, right? I think that's so beautiful. I'm kind of excited now, right? Because when you're in charge, it's so exciting. You're not at the effect of everyone anymore, and it's amazing. Go you guys. I like that result, that I get to be honest. Yes, right? And it's like, isn't that who you want to be? Don't you want to be real? Even if maybe it's not super flowery, like, don't you just want to be real? Yeah, amazing. Okay, you guys have done incredible work. This has been so much fun for me. We have about 5 more minutes left. So are there any other questions? Any other models that you guys want to run? Any questions? Amazing work. This is so fun for me. Like, what a fun job I have. Okay. I'm just going to clear these so I make sure I don't miss any. Are you looking forward to the holidays? Yes, I am. My family's doing it kind of different this year. Do you know what I'm doing? I was like, listen, I don't want to cook and I don't want to clean it up. So my family's doing a little staycation. We're going to a hotel like 20 minutes away. The kids are going to swim, and we're going to a restaurant. I'm letting someone else make and clean up Thanksgiving dinner. I was like, And can I just be honest? I don't like Thanksgiving dinner, the food. I know that that's a thought. I really do. But yeah, so I'm like, you know what? Italian? Yeah, sounding amazing. Let's do that. So I'm super excited. But yes, it's always all just about this. Okay, seriously, I wish you were there when I got married 10 years ago and showed me how to do this work. I can't believe that I've been listening to her stories for the last 10 years. Isn't it amazing? But here's the thing I want you to know, friend. You were not supposed to find me 10 years ago. And I would just believe that with all my heart. I really would. Because, like, if you were supposed to have found me 10 years ago, you would have. You just weren't. You weren't supposed to know this stuff until today. Today is your day. And how fortuitous is it that it's Monday and Thanksgiving's Thursday? What? And that you're here, that you chose to be here. You could be anywhere else, but you chose to be here. So go you. And how perfect is it, right? And it is just, isn't it so funny? I think as humans, we're just like creatures of habit. And we do one thing one way, and we get in the tunnel, and we have a really hard time thinking or believing that there's any other way to do it. But now that you're opening up your mind and you're paying attention to these thoughts, and you realize you can make it whatever you want it to be, now all you see is options and ideas, and we even feel a little excited. And what's so beautiful is the real you is ringing out. Like, people at Thanksgiving get to enjoy or experience, they might not enjoy you, and that's fine, but they get to experience the real you, and that's going to feel so amazing for you. Yeah, so beautiful. And you found me at the perfect time. Okay. Amazing. I want to do that for Christmas. Honestly, you should. Highly recommend. Yeah. Okay. I just want to thank you guys so much for being here. If you can follow me, I'm on Instagram. I don't do a lot of Facebook. So I'm mostly just on Instagram. It's Heather Flake Coaching. I have a website, heatherflakecoaching.com. You can email me, heather@heatherflakecoaching.com. If you have any other questions, if you're interested in working with me, I offer like a 6-month coaching program. So hit me up if you have other questions or stuff that comes up before Thursday. I'm so serious. Send me a direct message, send me an email. I would love to help you. And then share with me if you guys want to share your experiences from Thursday. I would totally love to hear from you. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today with me for this hour. You could have been so many other places, and it's amazing that you chose to be here and to learn and to just take care of your brain and yourself, so that you can experience what you want to experience and you can just enjoy yourself, because you deserve that so much. I'm so glad it was helpful, and I'm just so grateful that all of you beautiful people came. I love you, and I'll be back next month too. I'm doing 2 webinars next month. Just go to lifecoachuniversity.com, Heather Flake. There's also so many other amazing coaches that offer free classes like this. So sign up. And that's what I would tell you, you guys, get all the coaching, get all the exposure you can to this information, because it changes everything. It's mind blowing. And that's what Life Coach University is doing. We're putting it all out there for free. It's such an amazing resource. Tell your friends, tell your family, let's get this message out and pay it forward as well. So, all right, you guys, thank you. Have a beautiful Monday and a most glorious and wonderful Thanksgiving. Be intentional and enjoy it. Okay. Bye, you guys.